I'm Clever Ghoul, but you can call me Nikki. Welcome back to the channel! Recently I've been going through my closet and seeing whether I want to keep things or donate them, or maybe upgrade them. And I found this old black pair of sweatpants that just really needed some help, so I decided why not experiment on them. And I thought the best way to do that would be to add a graphic going down one leg. Specifically, a sword. Originally, I really wanted to make a giant stamp out of foam core and then stamp it onto the pant leg, but that would be so hard to see what I was doing and could be really messy, so I decided against it and to just paint it on. This is less of a straightforward tutorial and more of a process video. With that being said, let's get into it. Like I said, this is more of a follow my process video than a straightforward tutorial, but if you are looking for paints to use to paint on fabric, you can always get a medium to mix with your acrylic paint that you already have on hand. However, one of my favorite paints to use for fabric painting is Jacquard textile paint, which I will have linked in the description box below, and those are affiliate links, so if you use them, I earn a small commission, so thank you. First, I drew out the sword on the iPad. I was going for a woodcut sort of style. Then I put on the sweatpants and used some masking tape to mark out on the leg where I wanted the sword to actually be. Next, I set up my projector, put a piece of cardboard inside the pant leg, and began to paint on my design. This was a big mistake. I didn't pull the fabric taut enough, and I shouldn't have gone in directly with the paint. If I did this over, I would have really made sure to pull it really taut so that there's no bumps, and I would have used tailor's chalk to draw on the sketch of the sword instead of going straight in with paint. Hindsight, right? Instead, I did a rough outline with my white paint. And when I realized it wasn't really working, I stopped and let it dry. Once everything was dry, I readjusted the pants on the cardboard so everything was pulled really tight and I had a smooth surface to work on. Like you see, I made a little bit of a mess with the lines. So in order to fix this and have more even lines, I took a piece of foam core, painted some white paint on it, and stamped it on a piece of paper to see if that would work as a better layout going forward. And it did. So I ended up painting the edge of the foam core and stamping it on top of or next to the lines that I'd already put down. Once those were stamped down, I went back in with a brush and added a thicker layer of white paint to really lock in the areas I had just stamped. I also added some more details inside the blade. I still wasn't thrilled with how things were looking, so I stepped away and let it dry overnight. And the next day I pulled out some black fabric paint, thinking that I could maybe erase some of the mistakes that I'd made. First, I went around the entire sword, outlining it with the black paint and cleaning up any messy edges. I also did my best to straighten out any of the more crooked bits and clean up any fine details before leaving it overnight to dry. Which means it's time for the reveal. Here they are. These didn't go exactly the way I wanted, but messing up is a really important part of the creative process. Now that I've made these mistakes, I know how to fix them in the future. They aren't the best thing I've ever made, but they're definitely not the worst. And considering the mess I made in the beginning, I think these turned out okay. Aside from the initial mistakes I made, another issue was how old the pants were. They are pretty beat up and they're pilling everywhere, which I did try to smooth out prior to painting, but this would be much easier on brand new fabric. But the point of this was to give some new life to this well-loved pair of pants, and I think I achieved that. I could probably go in with a few more layers of paint and really solidify the lines and make it extra graphic and look stamped on, but I didn't want to waste all my paint doing that, and these are really only going to be worn at home, so it was good enough for me. Anyway, would you do this at home? And what would you upgrade, and what kind of design would you do? I would love to hear all about it, so let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!